Hi, I'm Pasha, and I'm a product manager at Google. I work on the Google Affiliate Network team, and I've been at Google for the last 5 years, and I've worked on a variety of projects, including Google Code, some of the cloud platform tools, and I started my career at Google working on APIs.
And my name is Shaun Cox. I'm a software engineer here at Google, and I've been with Google Affiliate Network for the last 2 years. And before that, I was working with EA on a lot of their massively multiplayer online technologies. And what we're here today to talk to you about is how to make money. In particular, how do you make money in the affiliate channel? The affiliate channel is a very unique channel to distribute advertisements. And so we just want to go through, first, what websites should be in the affiliate channel? Second, what things about the affiliate channel can you leverage to more effectively monetize your website? And lastly, we hope to show you how to monetize your website. We're going to take you step by step through setting up an account, getting links on your site, and actually getting conversions so that you make some money.
So let's start with just a quick review of the affiliate channel, why it's important, why you may be interested in it, and its potential moving forward. So let's just start with the publisher landscape. If you have a website out there, almost everyone's already familiar with just standard display ads. And display reaches about 83% of the web, millions of publisher websites. And the models that typical display ads follow are based on clicks and impressions. Affiliate ads are very different. And here's an example of an affiliate website, savings.com, where the ads are actually the content of the website. And these websites are almost always commerce-oriented, and they drive a lot of conversions, and therefore they're not, the pricing models aren't based on clicks or impressions. They're really just based on actions or actual conversions that take place. And then affiliate as a channel, therefore, is actually one of the best ways for a merchant to actually increase the number of conversions they get. And by conversions, I mean sales or orders. And it's particularly important for merchants during the holiday season. It's one of the most impactful ways for really making sure that you and your online website as a merchant has a good year. And that's why almost all merchants are either continuing to invest in this particular channel or actually are going to increase their investment in this channel. Some merchants, like Target, Walmart, actually invest quite heavily in this particular channel already. And it's a key channel for driving commerce online, largely because the number of things that users are actually, or consumers are actually looking at to make their decisions is only growing with time. And some of the most impactful things that consumers look at before they make their decision actually are affiliate websites. And some examples, which Shaun will go through in more detail, include sort of comparison shopping sites, blogs, product reviews, and even searches for coupons online.
So let's take a quick look at the most successful affiliates inside of this channel. First and foremost, we have loyalty and reward sites. What loyalty and reward sites do is based on conversions that they drive, they reward their members through points or cash back. If it's a point-driven system, after the user accumulates so many points, they can use those points to spend on additional discounts or cash back or a variety of other such things. A very different space is the shopping and promotion sites. At any one point, there are hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of promotions and online offers spread across the internet. What these sites do is go through those offers and aggregate them up and curate them so they are a much more digestible format for those users. So instead of a user just getting bombarded with tons of offers that they cannot seem to parse through, you can go to these sites and very quickly and easily find the offers that are best suited for you. Most of these sites also have search capabilities, so you can actually search for an offer that you are actively seeking. Next, we have community and content sites. These are going to be more of the blog and community sort of aspects of the affiliate channel. What's special about these versus all other community sites is they tend to be commerce-oriented. Let's pretend you have a camera or photography community. Most photography communities will talk about which is the best camera, whether it's camera one, point and shoot, all these sort of different aspects. it's really helpful to drive conversions to have a deep link from the camera that you're talking about directly to the purchase page of a particular advertiser. The affiliate channel allows you to do that. And since you're deep linking directly to an advertiser's page, you're going to be driving more conversions. And whenever you're driving more conversions, you tend to be a great fit for the affiliate channel. Next, we have comparison shopping sites. These sites actually leverage much of the same technologies that we saw on the community and content sites, but do it in a very different way. Instead of having a deep link inside of a long blog or product description or things like that, they do side-by-side comparisons, either of two products or even two merchant sites. So you can actually compare various products across merchant sites. And since they're a deep link, those users are more likely to convert than a typical user on another display ad. And since you are driving more conversions to an advertiser, advertisers are willing to pay you more money. And the last phenomenon has kind of been this new social commerce. Going online is not an individual thing anymore. Everything wants to kind of converge towards social. People want to do things together. In particular, people want to shop together. So what we are seeing is that certain affiliates will actually go and generate virtual currency that you can trade and even gift to friends. So now shopping isn't an isolated thing. It's a social experience where I can give Ali some tokens where he can go and spend it on a discount. And now we're both shopping together. We both feel very engaged with the advertiser, thereby driving a lot more conversions and making the advertiser more money. And whenever you're making the advertiser more money, you're generating much more revenue for you and greater opportunity to monetize.
So one of the most interesting things we've seen in the last 3 years, and this is research done by Forrester for one of our larger partners, Whale Shark Media, who run Retail Me Not, is that the actual amount of traffic that's coming from merchants downstream to affiliate sites is growing quite dramatically. And it's grown up to 69% over the last 3 years. What that clearly shows is a new phenomenon that consumers are actually going through where they're actually suspending their purchase. So they go onto a merchant's website, they find the products they want, they go to the shopping cart, and they're actually stopping that purchase to go look for coupons and go to other websites, such as Retail Me Not's website, to find those coupons. And you may think, how is this particularly valuable to merchants? But part of this research has also shown that those consumers tend to spend more money on those merchant websites, and they tend to make purchases more often. And having the right incentive or the right offer for a merchant is really important because you can often acquire a consumer through that particular offer.
Now that we've gone through who should be in the affiliate channel, let's go ahead and examine what the affiliate channel has to offer that you can leverage to better monetize your website. First and foremost, the affiliate channel gives you direct control. We allow you to control which advertisers you're in a relationship with, and also which actual links and ads you are displaying on your site. With this fine-grained control, you actually need better tracking. So the second thing we provide is much more flexible tracking. You are now able to track on a per-user basis, on a per-click basis, and even on a per-conversion basis. So advertisers are much more willing to give you information, such as line item level details of what conversions you are driving. Since you know that information, you can better optimize your website to drive conversions to there. In particular, since we are a pure CPA basis, a $10 conversion pays you significantly less than a $100 conversion. So analyzing this data and being able to modify your website so that you can more effectively monetize is a great way to be successful in this channel. Since you are so far down on the purchase pipeline, advertisers are also willing to pay you more dollars per conversion. This is huge. So now all of a sudden you are able to make more money per conversion and per action, which allows you to truly monetize your website to the best of your ability. Also, as your brand starts to become more and more established, because of that control and because of that per relationship basis, you are able to get negotiated rates. So now, instead of just getting the default rate for an advertiser, you can get a much higher rate for an advertiser. So you can be a Target.com exclusive advertiser and actually negotiate so that you can monetize your website much more effectively.
Okay, and so now that we've hopefully convinced you about the potential of the channel, the size of the channel, why it's important to merchants, and why it's something that's going to only grow in the coming years, we're going to actually walk you through the how portion and spend more time on this than we did on describing why the channel is important. And the things that we're going to walk you through, we're going to really walk you through 3 particular scenarios and how most people implement these. And we think that you can have a very innovative model that uses bits and pieces of all the things that we're describing in a variety of ways. We've seen this across the board. So the first is promotional. Promotional, I just mean you're just the very plain vanilla, how do you get links out of our system and get them on your website? Second one is sort of how do you do comparison sites and how would you build one? And then the third one is a much more complex scenario that the affiliate channel is really good at handling, which is sort of like loyalty. And by loyalty, I mean when a consumer goes and makes a purchase, how do you track that order and then pay back that particular consumer in terms of points or cashback? So with that, let me just start with the most basic scenario. The first thing you need to do, and this isn't just for our affiliate network, but any affiliate network out there, is you need to go join the affiliate network and then join advertiser programs. So most affiliate networks will have several advertisers, hundreds, thousands of advertisers. And then once you join their program, they'll accept you. And at that point, you could start using their links. And then anytime you drive a conversion, you'll get compensated. So that's the most important part. Once you do that, then you just get the links. And then you could put them on your website. And there's a variety of ways to get links.
By far, the easiest way to get links and to put on your website is through a UI. So you can navigate to the links page, check out the link that you want to get, copy, and just paste it into your website. The problem with this is it tends not to scale very well. You can do this for tens of links and even hundreds of links, but doing it for thousands and tens of thousands of links is just not feasible. So what we offer is something called link subscriptions. What link subscriptions are is a push mechanism where we will push link updates to you that you can read through either email or FTP. From there, you can go ahead and keep your data store in sync with ours such that your site is the most up-to-date and effective at monetization. The second way, the second more advanced way is through our API. Through our API, it's more of a pull mechanism. So you're able to actually ping our system and figure out what links you have available inside of your data store. So let's go ahead and look at some code sample. As you can see here, the code sample is actually fairly small. With as little as like 4 or 5 lines of code, you can go ahead and query our system for what links you are interested in. The thing to keep in mind is since you guys are mainly affiliates, the role type that you are going to be using is publishers. Second, when you create an account, you will be given an ID. That is the ID that you're going to use to interact with our system throughout all of our APIs. Now you're ready to do a get link call. So let's pretend you already know what the link ID is. All you do is pass that link ID, the role type, and that role ID into our system and execute the query. From that, we'll hand back a JSON object. But let's say you don't actually know which link ID you're talking about. Let's say you want to query over a variety of links. We provide a query interface that is called list, which you can use to refine your queries based on a bunch of filters. All these filters are located inside of our documentation at developers.google.com. But for this case, what we are doing is going through and looking for advertisers in the category computers. And then you can actually get all the links from those advertisers and figure out what to do from there. So let's take a look just very quickly at what is actually returned from these calls. You should get a JSON object that looks something like this. The most important thing is the tracking URL. What the tracking URL does is allows you to paste this onto your website and get credit for all clicks that go through that. Next, the really important thing is the end date. Certain links have duration. So like links are not forever. So if it's good to actually be aware of the end date and to be aware of how to update your website to compensate for that. You're not going to get a whole lot of credit if you're using expired links everywhere.
So the next thing we talk about is what about products, right? If you're building a comparison site, you're going to want to pull products and you're going to want to do some comparison across them. So the nice thing is that you can get affiliate links through 3 means. One is directly through the UI, but that doesn't really scale very well unless you're a blog and you just want to do a review for one product. Or you can get a feed subscription, again, email you a CSV file or we'll FTP you the file. And then you can just process that accordingly. Or the third one, which has been there for a while, is there's an integration with the search for shopping API as well too. And there have been some talks about that at the conference, so I'm not going to go into this in too much detail. And really, the only thing you need to provide that's different from any other query to the search for shopping API is the GAN ID. And the GAN ID being your own account ID. And once you provide that, the results look identical to what results you'd expect normally, except the URLs that we return back to you are going to be tracking links instead of just direct links to the destination. And that allows you to put those links on your site, and then whenever a user clicks through them, get credit for any conversions or sales that occur.
So now we know how to handle it if a merchant has already established a link that you can just copy and paste onto your site. But we actually run into a problem with community and content blog sites that actually want to do deep linking to direct product pages. Advertisers will often not actually give you all of those links and all of those destination URLs. So what we provide is what is called publisher-specific links. And what publisher-specific links allow you to do is do that deep linking directly to any destination URL for that advertiser. This allows you to more effectively drive conversions. And whenever you're more effectively driving conversions, you are making more money. So let's just take a quick look at this. As you can see, you see a lot of commonalities between this API and the previous API we just showed you. The only difference, you still see the role type, as well as you still see the affiliate ID. But now you see what is called an insert body. In particular, an insert body contains 3 main fields that you need to populate. First and foremost, the advertiser that you're actually wanting to deep link into. Second, a name for this link so you can easily search it in our UI. And finally, a destination URL. This destination URL is the place that you are actually deep linking to. Finally, what you're going to need to do is actually just execute the query just like you normally would. Just like we showed in all the previous slides, you go ahead and call insert with the role ID, as well as that insert body that we just populated. Call execute on that, and then you have yourself your very own link. Paste that on your site, and now you're going to get credit for those deep links. So what can you do with this? Like, why create this sort of API? So one of our tech leads had a kind of interesting idea, and he wanted to make a Chrome extension. So what he did was he created a Chrome extension that looked something like this. It logs you into our system such that when you're actually browsing the web, if you find a particular website that you want to deep link into, you just click on the Chrome extension, type in a name of the link, and hit Generate Link. And from there, you have a publisher-specific link generated for you on the fly. You copy and paste it into your website. You can very quickly and easily access all your publisher-created links. Also, we're planning on open sourcing this so that all of you can actually leverage that code.
So now that we've talked about the various links that you can get out of the system and the variety of methods you can get them through, I want to just talk about the actual link structure itself and just describe what's happening here. So in a particular tracking link, you'll have a LID and a pub ID. The LID is your link ID. Again, we'll pre-populate this for you. It just allows us to track the link. And the pub ID is your specific account that allows us to track the conversion back to you. And how tracking works is when a user actually clicks through that particular link, we set a cookie. And when we set the cookie, we set 3 things. We set the advertiser ID that allows us to look up very quickly when a conversion happens who the advertiser is and find the click ID. And the click ID contains the information about the publisher. Now, the way that the affiliate channel works is it's a last-click attribution model, which means that the affiliate or affiliate publisher whose site a consumer went to and clicked last gets credit for the entire conversion. And that's why we store the last-click ID, because once we track who the publisher was, the last-click ID, we can find out who the publisher was that the user went through and actually clicked on website. The third thing we store is the cookie duration, and this is particularly interesting because the cookie duration is the session during which any conversions that are made through your website will count. So if a user actually goes and clicks through a link on your website and then decides he wants to go for coffee, shuts down his browser, whatever it is, it's still okay, because if he comes back and makes a purchase right after and it's within the cookie duration or the session that the merchant set, then you will still get credit for that particular conversion.
So we already walked you through the kind of beginnings of this transaction workflow. You grab your links, you put them on your site. When the user clicks on that link, it's directed to an advertiser site in which then you get credit. So we just want to kind of expand on that and just show you how the end of that pipeline sort of works. So when a conversion happens on a merchant site, what the merchant does is fires a conversion pixel to us. And then we go ahead and do that tracking for you. And so then you can go into our UI and analyze your traffic, analyze how your monetization strategies are working. So let's quickly look at what is actually contained in a merchant conversion pixel. This may seem a little daunting, but the most important part is the fact that, as you can see there, that's product SKU. You are actually getting the information of the exact products purchased through that conversion. From there, you can actually analyze your site and decide how to better drive traffic to that merchant site. You also are receiving the quantity, price, and right below that, the category ID. Merchants are able to set up very advanced commission schedules based on these conversions so that you are rewarded in very great bounties.
So let me wrap up the entire workflow for you, because there are a few more steps that happen after the conversion is actually tracked. So after the conversion is tracked, most networks, what they will do is they'll go in and they will calculate how much is due to the particular publisher. But they're not paid out immediately, unlike other forms of ads. What happens is, at the end of the month, typically there's an 8-day reconciliation window. And the reason why there's an 8-day reconciliation window is because all merchants want the opportunity to manage canceled orders or returned goods or things like that. And then once those are accounted for, at the end of those 8 days, when the reconciliation window is closed, that's when we will invoice, and most affiliate networks will actually invoice the merchants, and that's when publishers will actually get paid out. Now, there are a few more steps for loyalty workflow, which I wanted to walk through quickly. So one is, you need to actually, in the case of the loyalty scenario, you actually need to track this back to a particular member. And once you track it back to a member, you need to notify the member that you're actually tracking that order and that they're going to get their points and that they're going to get their cash back from that particular order. And then you also have to do customer service, largely because you're going to find a lot of consumers that come back to you and say, hey, I purchased this particular order on this site and I didn't get my points, or I didn't get my cash back. Why didn't I? And for most affiliate publishers, you will need to have a good response or a good answer to that. And I'll walk you through how most affiliate network tools will help you with that. So let's first start with tracking a member. The reason I described the URL earlier was because I wanted to show some new variables that you will have to add yourself to be able to track a member. So one of these is actually the member ID. And the member ID is just an obfuscated string that you can provide in there to track it back to a member. And we've seen some really unique uses of this beyond just the loyalty use case, which this is primarily designed for, where people have tracked search terms that they've used for search ads or A/B testing, but primarily this is used to track a member. My only word of caution is don't put things like email or unobfuscated PII in there, because Google doesn't want that information. So once you do that, then the next thing you can do, and this is something we haven't launched yet and is coming soon, is you can use the X-image tag. You can actually use the tag today. The latency on this is a little bit more than 30 seconds. And what this does is this is a ping-back URL. And whenever an order is made, what we'd like this to do is immediately ping back that particular URL with the order ID so that you can almost immediately tell your members that, hey, you just made this sale, we tracked it for you, and so that they get that immediate feedback. And
the next thing we have is an events API. So oftentimes what you actually want is after the fact to analyze your data and analyze your conversions and what conversions you are driving. So to accomplish this, what we did is we went ahead and implemented an events API. What this allows you to do is much of the same things that the link query API allows you to do, but for events. So you can actually query our database for things such as modify date, as well as event time, and then get a truer picture of exactly which events you are driving over time. This allows you to keep in sync your data stores with our data stores. And just as before, what you do is a very similar call. Just go ahead and call events.list, and then pass in publishers, just like you did before, as well as your publisher ID. When you execute this query, what you'll get back is a list of results. From that list of results, you can go ahead and iterate over them and show all of the results in whatever manner that you want, whether that be an internal tool or keeping your database in sync. The next thing we have is saved reports. Saved reports are a hugely powerful tool. What they allow you to do is view aggregated data on a periodic basis. So every morning before you get into work, Google will actually execute pre-saved queries for you and email them directly to you so that you can see them and review them early in the morning.
so let me just walk you through quickly how most of these affiliate publishers or loyalty publishers actually pay back their members. So most of them make the decision to actually just pay out daily or weekly, because that tends to be a better user experience for their users. That doesn't mean they get the money immediately. As I said before, they get paid once a month after the reconciliation window is done. And most affiliate networks, what they do is they all have reports and APIs. We don't have an API for this yet, but reports where you can go in and just see what specific orders were paid out, which advertisers paid you out, and how much money you got at the end of the month. And what you will need to do as a loyalty publisher is you will need to go and reconcile that with what you've said to your users or paid out to your users and do the appropriate credit debit that you need to do. So for example, if a user went ahead and made a purchase and you gave them points for that purchase but then went back and returned that order, then you're going to have to reconcile that later as well too. And then finally, customer service. How do you manage conversion inquiries? So almost all the networks do this, where if you have the order IDs that are provided to the actual consumer, the order IDs that are provided to the actual consumer will also be provided to, can be sent over to the actual loyalty affiliate. And when the loyalty affiliate gets that order ID, what they can do is they can go into the affiliate networks, plug that order ID in, and actually look and see if that order already exists and if it's been attributed to someone else. And if it's been attributed to someone else, you'll immediately get feedback and say, okay, this category of publisher got the affiliate sale, in which case you can go back to your user and you can just tell them, hey, I know you made this purchase, but you clicked on a link on another site, or in some cases you used a coupon which wasn't applicable which made you ineligible for points or cashback. The other thing you can do is if you don't find that order, then you're going to have to work through with the merchant and figure out why that order isn't there, especially if the consumer or the user actually has a receipt for that particular order. In that case, you can file a missing order report and just provide all the details of that particular order. And this isn't live yet. We're going to have this soon. But most networks have something like this. And file the missing order. And then what happens is that missing order will be sent over to the merchant. And then the merchants have a quick way of reconciling that order and telling you, yes, we see the order in our system. For whatever reason, the pixel didn't fire. it's approved, just please, we apologize for the inconvenience. And sites do go down, and pixels sometimes don't fire for whatever reason. So this is a very useful tool for that. And with that, I think I've covered most of the scenarios. So now you should be able to create your own promotional website, your own comparison website, or your own sort of loyalty, and actually combine them in various new and innovative ways that even we haven't thought of. So with that, I'm just going to go through our closing thoughts and sort of summarize what we went through in terms of why the affiliate channel is interesting and important. And the first is, again, it's going to grow. All the merchants who are in the channel are staying, and most of them are going to grow the channel and grow their investment in the channel. This year alone, we're expecting 16% growth in this channel. The other thing we're seeing is the emergence of a whole bunch of new models that are coming along, specifically around the new trends that we're seeing. We're seeing mobile and tablet-specific affiliates that didn't exist before. We're seeing a lot of the traditional affiliates who feel challenged by that actually now venturing into mobile and tablet pretty aggressively. We see a lot of publishers leveraging social tools, recommending offers, doing things like that with their friends and their extended networks, which has been pretty novel. And we're seeing the use of virtual currency in very unique ways. All of these things didn't really exist 4 or 5 years ago. So there's some dramatic changes underway in the channel. And then the one thing I think is going to be isn't going to change is that consumer behavior has changed. Consumers are more deal-oriented, are looking for deals, are looking for more recommendations, more decision points before they make a purchase, whether it's even offline. And affiliates have a really strong role to play here, and that's not going to change and only get stronger with time. And if that isn't enough to convince you, the market size, which I haven't talked about earlier, is estimated to be about $4.5 billion by 2016. It's a recent study done by Forrester, with the expected growth rates to continue to be around 17% compounded every year between now and then.
So if your website or application is focused on driving conversions to an advertiser's website, and you are interested in more rewards, more control, and more insight, you should definitely take a look at the affiliate channel. Here we have just general information about the channel. You can go to www.google.com/ads/affiliate network. Or if you're interested in the APIs or a lot of their documentation, you can also check out our developer site at developers.google.com/affiliate-network. And I am Shaun Cox, and this is Ali Pasha, and thank you for attending our talk. If there's any questions, oh, sorry.
Thank you. I did, so everything we talked about is live. There's one thing that didn't go live this week, which is the documentation for the Links API, even though the Links API is live already. And Shaun worked on that, so you can assure to that. But the documentation for how to use the Links API will be up soon.
And I just want to do a plug general for the Google developers. There's something called API Explorer. And if you're not familiar with it, you should definitely check it out. What it allows you to do is see all the fields that you need to populate during API calls and actually just play around them in real time on a web forum. So like, regardless of whether or not you're using the Google Affiliate Network's API or just another API, you should definitely check it out and play around with it because personally I found it pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's how I debug all the time.
Yeah.
Sorry, so first question.
Yeah. Are affiliate networks for me if I run an international website with visitors from all over the world? How do I select the affiliate network, the merchants, or how do I deal with that?
So the way this works is if you're an affiliate, the state of the market is such that you're going to have to be in almost all the affiliate networks. And this is really driven by the merchants that you want to do business with. So some merchants will do business on one network, others will do business on a different network, and some won't even be on a network, they'll just have their entire program. Amazon's a good example. Now, if you want to have certain merchants, you're going to have to do business with all of them. And then there are networks which are international and which are more dominant in one area than the other. So you're going to have to pick and choose which networks you want to do business with. The good news is almost all of them offer almost the exact same tools. The challenge is is that they're slightly different, so you're going to have to work around each one of those tools and learn them. And that is a barrier to entry for an international expansion.
But in your tool, can I, like, I know my users come from, I don't know, Europe or so, then can I say just, I send a query that only gives me links to European
yeah, so in our
sites?
we do it by advertiser. So basically what you can do is you can go in there and say, just give me all the merchants who run programs in Europe, right? And you can join those programs. And then when you get the links, there are fields which tell you which geographic region they're eligible in. And then even time zones are given very clearly. So you know when a link ends and when a link starts based on your time zone. And then you can do the appropriate thing, take them down, put them up.
Thanks.
And we also support all the currencies and kind of do the currency transaction just automatically for you, which is kind of nice. In my previous company, we didn't always do that. So having that taken care of for you really lowers the barrier for entry.
Yeah, and as far as our network goes, one of the things that we do piggyback on is the payments infrastructure that Google has. So internationally, we will pay in whatever currency you want, and it'll be the same check that's written out for your AdWords, your AdSense account as well too.
Thank you.
Have you done any studies as a publisher, the typical earnings versus AdSense? Is it X% better than a typical publisher would get just by putting out simple AdSense?
They are completely different scenarios. They're completely different use cases. And in fact, what typically happens is even on the larger affiliate sites, they'll do direct placements. They'll do display ads alongside affiliate ads. Affiliate ads are, I mean, the way to think about them is when your ad is really part of the content of your website, then that's where an affiliate ads are. Whereas typical display ads pretty much go alongside other content. So you can use both, but they don't really compete against each other. And the biggest differentiator here is if you have a site like the New York Times, unless you're doing product reviews, if it's just a general article, then display is going to almost always work better for you, right? If you're doing something that's commercial in nature, recommending a product, then that's where affiliate plays a bigger role, and that's where affiliate conversions may be better than display.
Well, that brings me to my second question. If you reserved a space for banners, let's say it has a certain dimensions, I didn't see any parameters in the API there to call back for a height and width or to build
So there actually
banner.
is. Currently, I forget which banner sizes we support off of. It will be in the documentation once we launch that. You can actually go through, most of publisher websites will have like fixed banner sizes.
Right.
A lot of like the AdSense sites. And our tool will actually go ahead and query those things. It's just one field, I believe.
Yeah.
So, I could go and look for it. But
so the merchants do provide banner sizes, and they are typically the same banner sizes that you will see for display as well too. And the API will allow you to query them, and that data is provided through the link subscription, and you can even filter on it through the UI. So there's a variety of ways to get it.
That was my next question, but when will that be available?
The API, all of that is already available. The documentation for the API just needs to go live, and that'll be live either the next week or the week after.
So we could go query today.
Yeah, you could query today using the playground, but the documentation just isn't there yet.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Hi. How does the Google affiliate network work with respect to mobile apps? Like, so if I wanted to cross-promote mobile apps and move to the Google Play Store, I mean, as iOS does it with link shares and Amazon does it work, or is just the affiliate network exclusively on website and with mobile apps where we see a lot of consumers spending times within app? I want to put a banner, promote it to other paid apps of mine and basically get a revenue share from the purchase. Is that likely to occur?
So, I mean, that's something that we're still considering, but our focus really has been so far on driving sales, merchant sales outside Google Play, but that is something that we're talking about. We're talking about a lot of integrations within Google as well too.
Okay.
And we're just trying to figure which ones we want to tackle first.
Fair enough.
Did I understand you right that the comparison shopping is based on Google Shopping data?
Yeah, so I mean, I want to keep this a little general just because I know that for sites, you're going to have to use a variety of networks. And almost all of them will provide some sort of product feed, and some of them will provide an API to get it. The one that we use is we just piggyback on the search for shopping API. So there's just a parameter that you need to provide there, and once you provide that parameter, yes, you'll get the data.
So a follow-up, if the best priced item is with an advertiser or a merchant I don't have a relationship with, would I be able to show that price?
So you will need to make money off of that, you will need a relationship.
Right.
And I think you will still be able to grab the products for that particular merchant, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hey there. I was wondering, is there a way to tell which links are performing the best or which offers are performing the best, kind of overall? I mean, I know I could track that within my own app, but just in the system?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, one of the things we haven't shown is actual UI, but there's a comprehensive reporting. And reporting you can do on various dimensions. You can do it on advertiser, you can do it on banner size, you can do it on specific links that are performing best for you. Okay. So yeah, all of that's there. That's pretty standard.
Is that available through an API as well, or is that just the visual interface on the website?
So that information is not available through the API.
Okay.
So you'll have to go, and that's kind of what Shaun's point was with aggregation. Mm-hmm. So through the API, we will provide you the raw data, and the aggregation, which is what Reports does, which is why it takes more time, is every night we go in and we calculate based on various pivots and then generate reports. So if you wanted that scenario, what we could do is we could FTP that data to you daily in a CSV format.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Any best practices for placing affiliate links for publishers in terms of web search? How many links per page? Like, what do you guys recommend in terms of best practices there?
So I'm not the expert on this. I don't really know. If you email me, I know there are people on our team who may have more information than I do on this, because we don't spend as much time running the programs. I only get product requests.
Thanks.
Folks.
Just a little brief thing is most of the time, the advertisers who are in the affiliate channel, it doesn't mean you're not in other advertising channels. It just means you're part of the affiliate channel as well. So like oftentimes our publishers will be part of AdWords as well as just general AdSense to help monetize their website as well. And if your content tends to be mainly commerce in nature, the affiliate channel is a great way just to get more effective monetization for your website.
Hi. So I'm interested in helping ads become more authentic by those deeper links. In other words, there could be an item in a shopping basket or that somebody's looking at, but they really want to review some information which is like really far down, quite deep, and perhaps has not been associated with the shopping basket by the advertiser or by anybody. It's just that you're smart enough to know that this is really, you have an intuition, this is what people are looking for. And you showed us the tool, the deep linking tool. So I'm just trying to get a handle on, is there some data we can get back in order to share with the advertiser that perhaps they should share more deep data on product, or is that something that's, we just have to find links and add the links in order to associate with an ad? In other words, I'm kind of just interested in this deep linking.
So that's interesting. I mean, a lot of affiliates think they offer value by helping the advertiser do that, and by the value they offer, they actually get compensated that way. So say you find a page that really converts well on the advertiser's site that the merchant just hasn't really done, or advertiser hasn't done a really good job of like surfacing it, making it easy to navigate to, and you've done that through your website. There's little incentive for most affiliates to want to share that information because they're actually converting on those sales. But some do, and advertisers can aggregate all that data up themselves on their end because they get the same kind of data that you're getting, and they get information about what links are converting for them. They can go in, take a look, and make those changes accordingly. But there is sort of like this incentive. It's also the value that most affiliates offer merchants is when they make a mistake like that, they know that they can still get get conversions through the affiliate channel, even despite that mistake. And in terms of the deep linking tool, we need to release that too. That's already built. It uses the existing APIs, which are actually public already. And we just need to launch that. And then once you launch that, it's just a Chrome extension. You just go to the specific page you want, click the Chrome extension, it'll give you a link. It'll just create it for you right there. You can copy and paste it on your website.
My question was concerning the Chrome extension. What if you don't have a relationship with that merchant? What feedback do you get
So there are two types of merchants. Ones who are public and the ones who run their private programs. Private programs, you're not going to get any feedback. For ones that run a public program, they'll just tell you to ask you to join their program. So you'll have to go through 2 steps instead of one. First one being join their program, and the second one being get the link or create the link.
Sorry, the actual tool itself will actually more or less check the domain that you're currently on, figure out whether or not Google Affiliate Network has that advertiser in there. If you're not in a relationship with that advertiser, I think currently the display message is like, sorry, you're not in a relationship. And it may actually even have a button that's like, request joining that relationship.
That would be nice, yeah.
Yeah. Like we said, this is actually one of our tech leads, Ben Sussman, just came up with this and wanted to try it out and do, he wanted to play with JavaScript actually. So he did it up, and like this is a V1 iteration, and most of our APIs are currently in V1 beta. So we're really iterating on it and trying to get a very solid base to truly give you guys a platform in which you can interact and do all the things you want to do. Because like our goal is to help you best monetize your website, because the more money you're making, turns out the more money we tend to also make.
And the more money merchants make as well too.
Yeah.
I like that extension. I could give it a +1. I would like to see that. Give you guys, release that as soon as you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We'll get that out there soon.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Thanks again for coming to our talk. It's been
We
great.
appreciate it.
So.
Thank you very much.